Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and a very good morning to everybody. Um, Today is the day we have been working for the past 1 week, and we've made this happen on a very short notice. So we're very grateful for everyone who's taken out the time to be here on such a short notice, and then on a very early morning on a Sunday, and also drove across from cities to be here. Our entire team is extremely delighted to be hosting all of you for this annual Meet the Leader session that we host. I'm Maruk Faraz. I'm a member of the Global Shapers community and a development consultant by profession. For today, I'm going to be your host, and so you'll be seeing a bunch of me every now and then. Before we commence with the official agenda of today's event, I want to thank two specific organizations for making this event happen today. One, the Global Shapers Islamabad Hub, which is my community, my people, who have thought of the idea of doing this and have been trying to give to the community for as long as I can remember, 2012 to be exact, but that's the purpose we strive for. The other organization, which is our very esteemed partner, Citadel Pakistan, which is a center for innovation, leadership, and digital and technological advancement, who have made us bring this entire vision to reality. So thank you to our esteemed partner, and we could have not done this without them at all. I want us to spend a few minutes to understand and get an introduction to the community that has made today's day possible, which is the Global Shapers community. A lot of people end up thinking that we're a bunch of people, young professional students, who are trying to put up events and community initiatives. But the truth is that the expression of Global Shapers is a lot more than that and much larger than that. Which is why I would like to call upon the stage a very, very accomplished global shaper, somebody who recruited me into the community also. And like a friend of ours, Hassan Dajana, recently called her, she's the absolute representation of what Global Shapers community stands for. Can I please have you all welcome with an applause, Sheher Bano Jamali.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning. It's really such a delight to be here this morning. And to look around the room, because we're all here for something, which is we want to be the enablers of change. And I think a really important part of the Global Shapers community is that we want to open the doors and opportunities for all young people of Pakistan and everyone around the room to work for a common cause, which is how can we make a better Pakistan and how can we shape a better world. So hopefully I'm going to make it really quick. I'm just going to spend a few minutes to talk about the young students in this room. जो भी हमारे आज हमारे साथ स्टूडेंट्स हैं इस कमरे में मैं आप लोगों को बताऊंगी how you can become a part of this community and what we stand for. So the Global Shapers community is actually an initiative of the World Economic Forum. Professor Klaus Schwab in 2012, came around the room and said, 67% or 50% of the world at the moment is under the age of 30. How are we ensuring that we are reflecting those perspectives from all the youth of today and the future in the activities and the work that we're doing in the world. So the Global Shapers community is a community of the World Economic Forum. We have about 10,000 active members around the world in 450 hubs globally. So ultimately, what I tell everyone is that everywhere in the world that you travel, you will always have a friend, you will always have someone to guide you in those cities. We have impacted over 15 million people around the world through the activities that we do. I do want to spend a few moments just speaking on Pakistan. Sorry, right here. So in Pakistan, we actually have 11 active hubs around Pakistan. From Umarkot to Khuzdar to Quetta to Islamabad, we have representatives today. I'm so pleased to have all my colleagues from over 40. We have 40 Global Shapers in the room with us today from 5 cities around Pakistan. And, I was speaking to Ikram Saab just the other day, and I mentioned to him, an active effort of just the Global Shapers community is how do we remove away from these elite networks to also empower people who are working at the community level? How are we giving opportunities to people who are our eyes on the ground in the work that we do? So today we do have representatives from the Wahab, we have representatives from Rawalpindi, Okara, Peshawar, Islamabad, and eventually one day and in the near future, we will have 11 hubs represented in this room through the work that we intend on doing with Citadel Pakistan. And more than that, I do want to talk about a few projects that we've been working very specifically on. The Karachi hub is doing Mangrove Safari. Oops, is that me? Okay, great, that's not me. We have over 30 to 40 initiatives that we're doing. And I do want to talk about a few. I assure you I am not clicking on the clicker. That is not me. Yes, well, I think that was the slide that we were on. So we do have, projects that we've been doing for almost 10 years plus. Some of the initiatives that I want to talk about, especially if I speak on a global shippers perspective, is that we have 6 impact areas that we work in. Number 1 is inclusion. We work on inclusive communities. At Islamabad, we have a project on interfaith harmony. We work with the Christian community to talk about what are the common principles which can help us on building a harmonized society. When we talk about skill, we have our innovation grant prize that Islamabad Hub won. If you see on the left-hand side, career counseling for all. In the last since 2020, I am pleased to share that the Global Shippers community, through the support of the World Economic Forum, has received up to 30,000 francs in the work that we do at the community level, including 2 that I really want to highlight. In 2024, the World Economic Forum came up with an innovation prize with the Global Alliance for Youth. And Pakistan, in its very first cohort, which was our first one from over 500 hubs, Islamabad Hub was the first, one of the initial hubs to have won that innovation prize. And just to follow the next year, the Peshawar Hub did the exact same. From 500 hubs, we had Peshawar in the spotlight as well for the project Climate Synth. So career counseling pay, if I just talk on briefly, in the last 2 years, we have delivered career counseling sessions to over 2,000 students around Islamabad and Rawalpindi. And not only that, these are students we work with on a continuous basis to reskill over 20 different schools across Islamabad, and something that we aim collectively to spread to the rest of Pakistan. And we're not just talking about, the basic career counseling stuff that we're talking about. We're talking about how are we empowering the next generation with the skills that they need to thrive. So this is artificial intelligence, this is entrepreneurship, this is boot camps, and it's just so much more. And it's everything that Citadel itself is also trying to achieve. Climate Synth, I know we have representatives of the Peshawar Hub. Can you raise your hand? I feel like there's more. So there's Adnan over there who is leading that, and we're so happy to have him. Adnan, maybe you can, at the end, I would really like you to go around, talk to people about it. It's an AI-generated platform that they are building in Peshawar to empower the communities. So there's just so much that the community stands for. And then I'm just going to quickly move to the next slide.
Recording in progress.
Next slide, हो जाएगा? So I do not have rights anymore, but great. I know that the Rawalpindi Hub is also here today, and I really, Green Blue is also an excellent initiative where they want 10,000 francs for the work that they do. So there is so much innovation that we are doing just at the community level. And I'm sorry, next slide, Kredit, please. Great. But more than that, I also want to talk about some phenomenal global shapers that are in the room here today with us. We're not just working at the community level where we're building inclusive societies. We're working on protecting the planet. We're talking about reskilling for the future. We're talking about delivering basic needs and civic engagement. We are also representing Pakistan at that national level. In the last 4 years, we've had over 4 global shapers who are at the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum, where we are channeling what it means to be a Pakistani and showcasing the excellent work we're doing. I know we have all 4 of us, except for Khushbakt, in the room. So this is truly just so much inspiration that we have for the young people as well. Similarly, if you go on the next slide. Great. We also have global shapers who are representing Pakistan at the annual meeting of the New Champion in China. So these are living examples of people in the room with us today. And these are all opportunities that are available for the youth to be representing Pakistan and taking forward the love that we have for community and the betterment that we make, not just in Pakistan, but at a global level as well. So I'm so pleased to share that these are some of the excellent work that we're doing. Recently, through the Global Shapers community, the World Economic Forum and their Global Foresight Network has introduced another program called Future 50. So the idea of this program is on intergenerational collaboration. How are we planning for the next 50 years? And how are the youth involved in these conversations? So the idea is, that the youth should not have to live with the unintended consequences of decision making that we're doing today. How are we making sure, that youth are ultimately at the focal point of the conversations we're happening? And I think this is exactly why events like this, why meeting, individuals like Ikram Saab or meeting the team of Citadel is so important, because we deserve to be in those spaces. We deserve to be occupying those spaces, because Pakistan is 67% under the age of 30. How are we talking about 2050 when we are not in those spaces? And I think it is through tech, AI, through the work that we're doing that we deserve those spaces. Again, I'm so pleased to share that myself, along with Osama and Zulkarnain, who couldn't be here with us today, just published a piece on the World Economic Forum on intergenerational collaboration, particularly focused on South Asia, and the work that we can do with a philanthropic network to empower and make decisions for the next 50 years. Also pleased to share that Hassan, who is also here with us today, will be representing us on designing what the next 50 years in the energy sector could look like. So these are just some of the excellent work that this community and the people who are doing that. And then the most important part of today that I really want to talk about, I'm going to skip this in light of time, but really is for all the youth people who are present with us today. We ultimately need to be enablers. We need to create those opportunities, and we need to actively share those opportunities with all youth members around Pakistan, because we're all working towards a common cause. So with that said, I do want to spend just 2 minutes on how you can become a global shaper, and to, yes, all the all the older generations with us, we would love to, also for you to share this within your networks of people who you think could be excellent representatives of this community. We essentially look for individuals aged between 18 to 27. That is the age group that we cater towards. And the idea is that you need to be a leader in your community. You just need to have a passion and the heart to want to do something for your community. And that could be as little as something that I tell everyone. Every summer I put a lookout. We have a lot of lookout that grow on my tree. And we put a box outside and we put a poster saying, this lookout is free. It is for everyone. Take it, but be considerate of others. And that is all it takes to actually want to make a difference in your community. And I can assure you that every summer, every April that we do that, within 3 hours, those lookouts are all taken and they're not wasted at all. So that is all it takes to want to be a community, to join the community. So for young people who are in the room, if you're between age to 18 to 27, this is a perfect opportunity for you. All you need to do is have that love for community and have that love for Pakistan and the work that we do. And what you can do is that now that you have discovered what the Global Shapers community is, you can apply through our individual hubs. So in Pakistan, there are 11 hubs. Please make sure that you apply to the hub that is nearest to your city. That could be Rawalpindi, Islamabad, Wak, and so many 11 across Pakistan. And if you feel that you come from an area where aapka hub nahi hai, and you want to create a hub, then all you have to do is email Global Shapers community, and you could be the founding curator of that Global Shaper hub in your city. And this is something I'm working closely with, our community champion Munib Bhai, to see whether we can open up hubs in Sakhar, more in Balochistan. And the best way to do is that follow us. ISV Shapers is when the Islamabad Shapers recruit. Similarly, Global Shapers Rawalpindi on Instagram, on LinkedIn. All you have to do is once a year we recruit. You go through a process, and that is how we recruit. I'm happy to take any conversations forward, questions, if anyone's interested, because ultimately we're all here because we believe that we can create a better space, not in the world, but also for our communities and for Pakistan. So thank you for that. And yeah, please do get in touch with me. And I also just want to end with, I'm so grateful to the Pathfinder Group and Citadel Pakistan for opening their doors to us with such warm welcome, that really, truly we can bring and so many and fantastic people here today to have the conversations that truly matter and will truly matter 50 years down the lane. So thank you so much to the team.
Okay, thank you so much, Bhanu, for introducing us to things about Global Shapers that even I didn't know of. Without further ado, I will dive right into the session that we all gathered here today for. But you will have to bear with me for a moment because I want to set the stage for this conversation. The theme of this year's Meet the Leader session that we're doing is Beyond Geography and Building Legacy with Resilience, Enterprise, and Hope. Now, the context behind this conversation is that people like me, my age, slightly younger than me, slightly older than me, have been brought up in an environment where people were always wanting to make a switch in terms of wanting to move from a village to a city, wanting to move from a small city to a more metropolitan city, or wanting to switch countries at large. And the world has kind of changed where access to learning and information has evolved, and we could say that it's more widely available. But and that kind of has had an impact on opportunity too, which means that now we can get employment slightly more easily or in different places in the world. But the problem is that the core case of opportunity itself has kind of evolved too, right? We're in the middle of an economy or a fiscal space that's shrinking. We're in the middle of experiencing a lot of inflation. We're in the middle of experiencing a lot of unemployment. And we're also in the middle of experiencing AI adoption, which is obviously indirectly impacting a lot of our opportunities too. So all of this collectively has compromised the ecosystem that we operate in or reduced the opportunities that we could seize. Or that's generally how we look at things, right? I will take a moment to also add an example from my own experience. I work in the development sector. One last year has been crazy for us because the shrinking of development finance in the country has been excessive. A lot of people that I knew of personally have lost a lot of jobs. There's firms that are recalibrating how they're going to maintain their revenue models or diversify. There's people like me who reworking if they want to stay in this career or not. How do they find another job given the space is already so limited and so small? And to address problems like these and thinking like this, that is, I'm sure, widely something that everybody can resonate with over here, given that we're all young. We have scheduled this conversation or trying to conduct this conversation, which will today be moderated by Maaz Ali Nadeem, who is the co-founder and CEO of Vector AI, which is a firm of building AI solutions. In my opinion, Maaz is the perfect fit to be doing this because he, for a generation like mine, is an example of how you kind of achieve things with the limited opportunity and in the geography that you do exist in. Maaz, can I please request you to join us on the stage? While Maaz joins us, I want to talk about the man and the leader Maaz is going to be in conversation with today. I think it's a name that most of us have heard of. I don't think there's anybody amongst the youth who's not heard of that name. Anybody who knows of his story is in complete awe and absolutely inspired by the story that he brings to the table. He has been brought up in East Pakistan, fought in the 1971 war, became first Pakistani prisoner of war to escape from Indian captivity, came back to Pakistan, built a business that now has 12,000 employees in 75 cities around the country. The group, which is called Pathfinder Group, is Pakistan's biggest private security provider and a facility management organization. And that's not it. The person that we're talking about has spent 20 years trying to host Pakistan's breakfast at the annual meeting at Davos, written 10 books, has introduced a defense journal, and has probably showcased Pakistan at every stage that matters globally. I would just mention this, that he's the person that has promised to stay in Pakistan and made all of this happen. And he's made Pakistan impossible to ignore on a global stage. I want to have all of you give the biggest round of applause to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ikram Sehgal.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to Amani Bagh on a fine Sunday morning. I hope you're well awake. Yeah, the yes was very light. That's better. Awesome. There's not much to talk about. Honestly, there's a lot more to hear today. And I thank Ikram Saab for his time that we'll all enjoy right now, inshallah. Sir, very first question. From a third person's perspective, if you had to narrate a story, who is Ikram Sehgal?
Well, Ikram Sehgal was first of all the son of a Punjabi and a Bengali. Bengali father, Punjabi father, Bengali mother. And 71 started by me being in the wrong place at the wrong time. At 1971, I was in the army. Very proud of the Pakistan Army, as I am now, still. But it was not fashionable to have a Bengali mother in 1971. And even though I was the first Pakistani prisoner of war to escape from India, because I said something which was not considered correct at that time, and not even maybe even today, is that I cannot have my father's people kill my mother's people, and vice versa. But it was happening in East Pakistan at that time. From a potential hero, I became a zero. Right? And I was to be processed out of the army. I was sent off on 12th November. We were one of the 32 officers and 1,000 of the ranks that were incarcerated in India without India telling anybody that we were prisoners of war. So I escaped on 16th of July. 17th July, I broke into the American Consul General in Calcutta. Celebrated my 25th birthday with them. They were not happy to have me there. But, you know, we were at that time members of CETO and CENTO, Central Treaty Organization and CETO, and they didn't know what to do with me. So they gave me various choices. And one was to, get into a crate with oxygen, and their US military air transport used to go through Calcutta twice a week. And they said, we'll put you in there and we'll take you off to Bangkok and kind of thing. I said, I have no way of getting into a crate and oxygen and never wake up again. So anyway, long and short, I got money and the thing is set up. I don't want to go into the escape story, but the fact of the matter remains that when I came back, I was told that this is the wrong story that you're giving as far as East Pakistan is concerned. You cannot stand up and say anything which is contrary to the script. And the script says all Bengalis are traitors. So my father was sent to me by General Yahya. And my father came to me, and I really loved my father. And he came to me, and I was in sort of a protective custody during the interrogation. He said, let's walk out into the lawn. He said, my nickname is Chand. He said, Chand, what's wrong? You are a hero. You're a genuine hero. Why do you have to say this? I said, Daddy, there's one thing, there's a difference between you and me. And he said, why? You and I look like each other. He and I look like each other quite a bit. And I said, Daddy, he said, there's no difference. Everybody knows you're my son. And I said, Daddy, there is a problem. He said, what is that? I said, you had a Punjabi mother and I have a Bengali mother. I cannot do that. He went back to the powers that be, and particularly General Yahya, and told him, as far as I'm concerned, you can shoot him, but he's not going to change. Anyway, long and short, I was sent to West Pakistan to be processed out of a unit. And the war had not started. This was before the war. So when we were being processed out of the unit, I was sent to a unit called 44 Punjab, which was led by one of the bravest, most courageous officers of the Pakistan Army, who already had won Sitara Jurat and etc. Lieutenant Colonel Taj. Lieutenant Colonel Taj uh, was known throughout the army for being flamboyant, and he said, "Look, I don't like Bengalis, and I will never promote you, and I will process you out of, and you, after the war, if you survive the war, you'll go home, but I'll never promote you past the rank of major. And I'm going to call D company, which I'm going to give you. I'm going to Delta company. I'm going to call it deserter company. Now, this is between me and him. Nobody else knew about it. Long and short, various things happened. On 13 December morning, he took his rank off as a major, gave me battlefield promotion, and recalled my name, recalled my company, Cycle Company. So today, Cycle Company is there. And now 44 Punjab became 4 Sindh. And that is one of the proudest things I think a soldier can have. I'm the only living person. The 3 other companies are named after Nishan-e-Haidar. Shabir Sharif, there's another Mohammed Sen, and there's another Nishan-e-Haidar, not Nishan-e-Haidar, but he was also killed like that. And the 4th company, Delta Company, named after me. So, let me put it to you like this, that I decided there and then, the love, I'd grown up throughout my life, I'd grown up, like you said. My father raised the East Bengal Regiment when I was 3 years old. And then I got commissioned in the East Bengal Regiment. And let me tell you that when I was commissioned in the East Bengal Regiment, and I was commanding, at that, of course, in East Bengal Regiment, I was doing Bravo Company, which was my father's company. And my company commander who came was Major Zahir Hussain. And Major Zahir Hussain, 2 months later, became Lieutenant Colonel. His son was 8 years old at that time. If I could request General Shakil to get up. General Shakil was 8 years old at that time. So you can imagine the affinity. And his wife is here. And she was about 3 or 4. She was also his father's colleague's daughter. There was Dr. Zaidi was that thing. Gudiya. We still call her Gudiya. Right. Point is that you have to have your relationship strong. If you keep your relationship strong, it does not matter whether you're Punjabi, Bengali, Baloch, Sindhi, whatever. You're Pakistan. And Pakistan is what matters. Nothing else. So, I will give you a short history of where I started from. Then, of course, you can ask me questions for my business. But I can tell you this, that in Pakistan, merit is a disqualifier. It's a huge non-pass. It's disqualified in many places in Pakistan more than anything else. Because I survived, I got a battlefield promotion, so I survived some years. But when it came to, and I was sharing this story of the 2 years with some colleagues of mine. In fact, Air Commodore Khalid Banori is here, Air Vice Marshal Asad Ikram is here, and of course, Air Commodore Farhan is here, and that. From December 1371 till I was again shunted out of the army, dismissed without assigning any reasons on 24 January 74. Again, I was anything that used to happen, I was chosen and sent. Whether it was the Sindh language disturbances, where I was being directly given instructions by President Bhutto as a major, being given direct put in Sindh language disturbances, University of Jamshoro, use maximum force, don't kill anybody. I needed that thing. Whether it was afterwards, or before that, the Desert Battle School, the first Desert Battle School to establish that. Afterwards, when there was the S Force was created separately, a Heliborn company was created separately during the Balochistan operations. Chinooks, people do not know. Iranian Cobra gunships and Chinooks came in 1973 to assist the Pakistan Army in Balochistan. So, and then I made the mistake of, out of 3,500 officers, standing first in the Captain to Major promotion exam. When the book, it was the first time the results were published. I was away from the unit. I was attached to the brigade headquarters, the div headquarters. I said, "Sir, I want to go and show my CO, Colonel Taj. You know this, I've come first." So he said, "Yes." It was General Iftihar, who was a major BM at that time. And he said, "Yes, go." So I just carried that huge document and I landed there and I went and this General Taj was saying, looked at me and said, "Bloody fool." I said, "Sir, I stood first." He said, "I told you, now they'll get you. Now they'll get you. You have no business standing first." You know, can you imagine? So this was the state of affairs. So I refused to take the staff college entrance exam. And my sister-in-laws, you know, I was newly married, and in between operations, we had some cases in Quetta. So I got my sister-in-laws to come, and both of them who were there were here. And while everybody else was studying, I was taking them around seeing movies and Lal Kababi and that thing. And my wife was upset like anything. She said, "तुम मेरा नाक कटवाओगे, वो अजहरुल इस्लाम फर्स्ट आएगा, और सिकंदर शामी फर्स्ट आएगा, याकूब मसूद फर्स्ट आएगा, और वो पढ़ते हैं, तुम जाके हम लोग को मूवीज दिखाते हो." Anyway, but I was not going to appear in the staff entrance exam. General Iqbal called me and said, "You will appear. You will appear. If there's something against you," I was the DGMI in 1971. I was the DMI in 1971. There was no DGMI at that time. And he was my div commander. He said, "Question does not arise." So I appeared in the staff entrance exam. I left 2 questions, 5 marks each. The invigilators who were the COs of the same brigade said, "You teach this. How can you not do this?" I said, "Sir, I don't know." So anyway, the long and short, I stood first by mistake in the same exam. And General Parvez Musharraf, who appeared with me, failed in that exam. Out of 300 who appeared, 30 passed. 100 had to be sent. So he was one of the people who went to staff college having failed in the exam. But, you know, the fact of the matter remains that, which I came to know later, the first man goes to staff college Kimberley. How could a person having views that he had in 1971, having a Bengali mother, go to staff college Kimberley and potentially become a general? So I was dismissed from the army, Pakistan Army Act 16, without assigning any reason. So they don't do a court of inquiry, they don't do anything, they don't give you a chance, you just go home. So, long and short of it is, later on people did, you know, I got, many years later, General Reed Kakar, who was the Adjutant General, reopened my case. He exonerated me completely. And he said that he should be given the same rank as his colleagues, which by that time they were already becoming brigadiers and about to become generals. Because this is the worst case of injustice we have seen, General Kakar. Well, it went up to the Ministry of Defense and they thought that it was not correct and all that. So they sent me a letter which said compulsory retired without fault of officer, but never really recorded it anywhere. So technically I'm a dismissed army officer who teaches in the National Defense University, in the Air Force War College, in the Pakistan Navy War College, right? Taught in NDC in Bangladesh, right? As a dismissed army officer. And delivered the first ever lecture to the NDU on national security strategy in 2002. The first ever lecture. And I must thank Air Marshal Masood Akhtar for that. He was the head of the National Security Wing, and he said, nothing doing. You're the person, you will deliver the lecture, and this history. And today I'm almost completed the national security strategy when I found out that everybody and his uncles were talking very long rhetoric, nothing tangible. Everything you hear, every speech you hear is very good and rhetoric, nothing tangible. So I sat down and did the national security strategy. And I'm here because of that. And I must say that two things, and my wife is sitting here. My son was 25 days old. Zarar today is the chairman of the company. He's one of the top lawyers in the world today. He's considered Legal 500 and other things say that he in securitization and leasing of aircraft, there's nobody like him in the world. He is actually in Harvard recently. He was the compare with other unconstitutional matters, Americans in Pakistan. But my wife was there, and when I came and told her, then of course she went to a state of shock. And I acknowledge the fact that she didn't leave me at that time, and she was with me, and today we are here together. And I'm very grateful to her because together, whatever you see today at Pathfinder, incidentally, my son has got shares, she has got shares, I've got one share in each company. Right? But the point is that you have to, your destiny blesses you. If destiny blesses you, and I think if you come with a sincere intent, like you people, I am really astonished the amount of work you've done when Maruf and you came, and I know about Global Shapers, the things that, but I didn't really know because I was more into young global leaders, but the amount of work you've done, and then Sherbanu Jamali came, and I really thought, hey, the whole entire destiny is coming together today. So consider the blessings. Sitting here in the front row, Jan Shakil, Brigadier Mujahid Alam, I had one sister who died. She was 3 years younger to me. He and my sister were classmates in convent when they were, I think, 7 or 8 years old at that, 10 years old at that time, right? So we go back a long way, all of us. And his mother and my mother were friends, right? And so, but at times of crisis, your friends always stay with you. General Ali Kuli, he was with me. His late son, Lawrence, we had associations, and were much older to me, or 5 years older to me, but we came in innovation together. We were afterwards together. When my sister died, his wife and my sister were very good friends. And she said, Shanaz may have died, I am your sister. Until today, she remained my sister. And today, the food you get will be cooked from her son's cafe. Right? So you see, and in General Ali Kuli's, they've got a lot of industries. In many of the industries, I'm a director. I'm the only non-family member director. I'm trying to explain to you that your friends always stay with you. The people who've got sincere intent, they will never leave you. And I can go down the line, I can describe many people here like that. People have stayed there, etc., and people who believe in you, right? And I'm so proud of the fact that, after I left convent, I went to Lawrence College, Ghodagali. And Mujahid was the principal much later, of course. And in many ways, the character building took place in Lawrence College, Ghodagali. Unfortunately, a lot of things have changed. When there was lightning and thunder in Lawrence College, We used to be given the 6 best runners, used to be given paper in satchels and said, go out in the lightning rain, in the rain, and throw paper, and the 200 boys will run after you after 15 minutes. That is called paper chase. And in the army, we used to call it road, walk, and run. RWR. We used to call it running without reason. So the character was built up, there, when, where you have come across people, you come across this thing, you learn the thing, etc. And people are here from other schools and colleges who have gone on through this thing, etc. The character is built up in your schooling, the later part of your schooling, and the university that you go to, and of course, the various associations you come together. So that, in short, is character.
Amazing. So let's talk a little about Pathfinder. We've talked about, what led you to that. But let's talk about Pathfinder. How, why, and how hard was it? And what does it look like today? I mean, it's cool to sum up in a few words, 50 years, 75 plus cities, 12,000 people. But that doesn't give the gist of it. Please tell us about the gist of Pathfinder.
First of all, the name Pathfinder. General Musharraf, as the major, was the head of the Pathfinder team in the SSG. The Pathfinder team, what it does is, it goes behind enemy lines and lays out a drop zone. It puts flares, and the rest of in C-130s or whatever, they come and parachute into that drop zone. So General Musharraf, his major, was head of the Pathfinder team, and I was the pilot of that team. So that name came from Pathfinder. Name came from that. It started because when I was thrown out of the army and I started, I had no money, no place to go to in the sense, but my father was all right, well-to-do, but he was a retired person. I didn't want to take his money away from him. And I started working as an instructor pilot in Lahore Flying Club. And because I had the aviation thing, I had a CPL, I made a commercial pilot license, I got the CPL. And I flew from India. We used to do spray flying, cotton crops and rice crops at 10 feet through the spray flying. And it was tough flying. And realized that whatever one did, somebody else got the credit for it. You do whatever you see, somebody else got the credit for it. So one day, something happened. I walked into the office and I saw my table, somebody else sitting at my table. And I said, "This is your stuff is lying there." So in order to degrade me a little bit, they had moved me down number of rows. I didn't say anything. I just went to my table. I started collecting my stuff. And then my clerk, at that time, our clerk, Abdul Hamid Qadri, came to me and said, "Sir, what are you doing?" I said, "I will never work for anybody ever again." So he said, "Sir, what are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to open my own company. I'm going to do the thing." He said, "Sir, but you don't have any money." I said, "True, but we'll do something." So he said, "I'm going with you." I said, "Hamid Qadri, you must be mad. You earn 600 rupees. I can't, I don't have money for anything, and how am I going to, I don't have, so much money." He said, "Sir, whatever it is, I know you, and I will go with you." That was 1977. 1976, sorry. And 77, the company was incorporated. Mr. Hamid Qadri came to me, went with me. So he said, sir, you can't type. You don't know how to handle a telex machine. And who the hell is going to do this for you? I said, good. He said, sir, I just need 300 rupees. Give me 300 rupees I have to give to my mother. Because, at that time, khana pina. And I'm smoke a bit, I'm going to stop smoking and all, but I will go with you. That was 1976. In 2026, Mr. Hamid Qadri is with me still. And as people sitting here in Citadel will know, he's a shareholder in Citadel also. Right? He is still with me. He is one of the two people who signed the checks. My wife signed very reluctantly because she's an incurable pessimist. Nothing will succeed, But my Hamid Qadri signed blindly. And Hamid Qadri is still with me. And I had the honor of going to his youngest son's wedding only a few days ago. And, it was a real honor to go there. But that is why I think I decided I said never work for anybody. I'll work for myself. And I must tell you that you think of many things fail. Don't be discouraged by your failures. Be encouraged by them. Be encouraged by them to make yourself better. Right? And that is how I am where I am today. And, we've done a lot of things on the way. And ultimately, a stage came where Pathfinder Group, we went into barter and counter trade. And one of the things we did was tea, then raw jute. I was lucky I went to Bangladesh. By some chance, my unit which my father raised was, and which, of course, General Shakil's father also commanded. And by the way, when General Shakil's father was commanding the unit, and I was the adjutant, his company commanders included General Irshad, who became the president of Bangladesh, General Ziaur Rahman, who became the president of Bangladesh, General Shafiullah, who became Chief of Army Staff, and a number of other generals that he said. So this was known as the two East Bengal Mafia. They were ruling Bangladesh. But they ruled Bangladesh very well, right? And of course, General Zia was assassinated. I had the honor of being the adjutant when officiating CO, Major General Zia, heard that his son was being born in Dhaka cantonment. And he didn't know what to do. I told him, sir, you are the CO, you can use your jeep from Jaidarpur. He said, you come along with me, bloody fool. Right? So we saw Tariq Rahman, who was the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, when he was a few hours old in Dhaka CMH. Right? So, you go back and you have this thing. But Pathfinder came about at that time because of that. Bangladesh helped a lot. When they were there, they said, Sham, you do jute, you do tea, you do this, you do that. So it's very minimal things. We didn't take commissions out, but we helped out in many ways. And because of that, we got into credibility. We came into business and we redefined our business by saying, okay, fine, let's move away into services. We came into security management services, SMS. Today we are known as the best company, not only in Pakistan, but I keep quiet about it because merit is still a disqualifier. And, we are known as the best company in the developing world, the best security service company in the developing world. We are the largest ever contract in the American side, the American embassy. We are guarding for 40 years now. 2,500 guards in 40 years. In between, Waikanet, we had a G4S came in. I won't go into details, but a stage came when they had to depart. We bought over Wackenhut, a separate company. Today, Wackenhut, which had at that time about 50 vehicles, had about 450 armored vehicles. So we today are in 75 cities and towns with guards, etc. Our guards are the best paid guards in the country, without fail. They have privileges and things which other people do not have. And just to give you an example, how our employees are treated. And on Wednesday we had a session here. One of our very dynamic young people, he was with one of our companies, a separate company called SMS Services. He died the same night. He had a brain hemorrhage. He died the same night, and it was a shock to all of us. But his chief executive, Shakil Ahmed, he went to this thing. We did the same thing which we do for every one of our employees. And I'll request Shakil Saab to get up and tell him what we have done for Zahir. Mike, can you give him mic? And please listen to it very carefully, because we don't do something extra. We do it because we are Muslims and it's our job to look after our people.
So what the company did is, the Ikram Sahab really, they gave the 6 months full salary to the widow, and then 18 months half salary to the widow for the next 18 months after the completion of the 6 month full salary. And apart from this, the company, the group has given their children the free education with the fee and the books and everything. So this was because this is in such situation. The situation is because when there is such kind of grief, the people, they cannot handle the situation, because the financial situation really, just everything just went off, and you need the money and just to get out of this grief. So this was not only for this one, because the company did this for every employee who ever died during his job. So this was.
Thank you. What I'm trying to say is that, we want to give back to our employees, right? And I think if you go outside some of our employees and ask them, somebody's been here for 25 years, somebody 30 years, somebody for 20 years. I mean, depending upon that, we pride ourselves that we are a family, and we have to look out after each other like a family. So that is the thing, etc. But let me tell you, beyond that, when SMS and Wackenhut was making money, I didn't listen to my wife and put money in plots and the thing. And she said, "You're the thing." I started a new company which was for financial inclusion and women empowerment. Financial inclusion and women empowerment, and it's a World Bank scheme, but ultimately we are the only company in the world today that can do many to many telcos to many banks. We are now connected 5 telcos. All the telephone companies are connected to 16 banks. Somebody goes to the bank and tries to open a bank account. If he has got less than 50,000 rupees, he will have a lot of trouble opening a bank account. Our person, anybody, on a telephone, whether it's a smart telephone or feature telephone, can open an account in less than 2 minutes. In less than 2 minutes, an account can be opened. It's called Asan Mobile Account. We've already got 14 million accounts with 16 banks. And some of the things which are happening in the country, my people tell me, why aren't you telling people that it's our platform? in our this thing. I said, just be happy you're doing it. You don't want to attract everybody coming and asking for a handout or stopping you, right? So 14 million accounts, and incidentally, the fuel pass system that you have, it's our platform. Is working it. Nobody gives me credit for it. Okay, thank God. But we are doing it, right? Similarly, now this is to empower women. Women had 18% accounts before we came in. Today on our platform, they have 38% women have accounts. So we are reaching out to the women, and unless you get women into the mainstream economy, you are going nowhere. You have to get women into the mainstream economy, and that is the only way to go. And that is why today we have AMA and we've got other things. I don't want to go into details, but let me put you, today our focus is the poor people of this country. And this platform was made for the poor people of this country, right? And today I can say honestly that we are successful. And each of our ventures that we are doing, whether it's Citadel or whether it's, Interfaith Harmony or this thing, it is CSR. Ultimately, it is CSR. But CSR meant to enhance the worth of the person, to make that person independent, right? And like Sherbanu and Maruf and you and the others who are in this room from Clover Sugar, I have a selfish interest. I want you to be the core of the Gen Z people that are going forward. Who are going to make the people at the back heard? Unless you people get them, like you say, make global hubs. Make the hubs for global shapers. Make them, they've got bright ideas. They don't have a platform to take that idea forward. So take that, the thing. That's why, the thing. So our further this thing is, yes, we want to make money. If you want, I don't want to go to anybody and take a handout. I don't want to go to anybody and take a handout. I will make the money. I will involve people making the money, and I'll make sure that that money is used at that thing. I will not give people fish to eat. I'll give them the means to catch the fish.
So there's a Chinese proverb that says, give me a fish and I eat for a day, but teach me to fish and I eat for a lifetime. I think that's primarily what this discussion is about. And on the point of, taking care of the people who work with you, the day we met in Karachi, I met Salman Bhai right after, who's joining us online right now from Karachi, who's the man behind AMA. He told me one thing, Maz, I'm going to take out my wallet and I'm going to show you this medical card that I have. Look at the benefits, read it out. Maruf read them as well. And then he said, go downstairs in front of the Kavish Plaza, whichever guard that you see out there, ask him to show you his card as well. And then compare. If you find a difference, let me know. Yeah. And that was it. That defines what we're here for and what we're trying to understand. Ikram Saab, on this very, topic, you have a journey of at least 56 years, I would say, maybe more.
Well, if you take it as far as 71 is concerned, it is 55, 56 years.
Yeah. From the time you joined the army, maybe it's 60.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's a lot
more than that.
More than that.
But that I was 17 at that time, so inshallah, I'll be 80 in July.
Inshallah.
So I would say it's about a journey of 63 years.
A journey of 63 years. So in that entire journey of 63 years, who do you remember in good words? Some people who you just want to talk about. Someone who probably defines the story of Ikram Sehgal, but you haven't had the opportunity. You can't market them every day, right? You can't say who's behind it, but in the entire journey, there's someone that you want to remember. Maybe there's 2 people, maybe there's 4. Who do you remember in very, very good words?
Look, I first, of course, everybody, Kayed and all these people, they really inspired me. A lot of people do not know Kayed's strategic vision. Kayed had a strategic vision which was unbelievable. And it is very surprising. It is very surprising that Pakistanis are not aware of his strategic vision. Can you imagine? The father of our nation, of course, if you say, okay, made a country and this and that, but how did he go about it? Right? So, I would say to a great extent, and I'm associated with the Quaid-e-Azam House Museum now in Karachi with that. But in essence, he was one person who was very inspired, in that sense. I would consider my father very, very inspired. My father was unusual. My grandfather had a company called H. Kareem Brothers, which made the Bombay Marine Drive. They went from Sialkot. My father was educated in Bombay, came back. When my granduncle died, my grandfather moved back, was educated in Murray College, and went to King Edward Medical College as a medical student. Then, when everybody was going to the army, he went to the army on the Quaid's call. On 8 May 1942, Gandhi and Nehru launched the Quit India movement. The Quit India movement. And the Quit India movement meant we will not serve the British Empire in any capacity. No soldiers, no nothing. Just leave India. And there was a lot of pressure on the Quaid-e-Azam from Muslim League to do the same thing. At that point of time, 20% of the army was Muslims. Muslims were not considered very loyal because of 1857, for some reason, which is not correct. But 1857, they considered, 20%. But the British Indian Army and British Empire needed soldiers. So the Quaid said, no, we will strive for independence from the British, but during this war, we will serve the British Empire and join the army. So the Muslim quotient went from 20% to 40%. But more importantly, after the war, when there was a lot of pressure that undivided India, the British army officers, to a man, they went and said, no, we cannot leave the Muslims of India at the mercy of these Hindus. We have to give them an independent land. Right? So, it was that, his foresight, can you imagine? The other foresight. Mr. Fazlul Haq, Mr. Sarawardi, and Abul Hashim went to him in 1946 and said, no, they had disfigured the Pakistan Revolution. It said 2 independent states, but they said no, 1 independent sovereign state. So they went to him and said, okay, look, if we have undivided Bengal, in which Muslims are a majority, then we have Calcutta Port with us, and we will have Assam. So Quaid-e-Azam immediately said, yes, go ahead. So they tried, the Congress came to know about it. They went and said, no, Bengal has to be divided. When Bengal was divided, East Bengal had a majority of Muslims, West Bengal had a majority of Hindus. So that is how that was done. Today, I've of course written about it many years, for 30 years, Association of Eastern States of South Asia. But today, what is Yunus, when he was leaving as caretaker prime minister, he gave this statement. And the Chinese welcomed the statement. They said, we need an independent Bengal with Assam and the states, British states, and we should be independent. So, what the card gave in 1946, so, such a man who's got that strategic vision to do these things, you have to be inspired. And the second, of course, I told you is my father. My father, who married a Bengali, because people do not know that Mr. Sarwardi was my maternal grandmother's cousin. Mr. J. Rahim was my maternal grandmother's cousin. Mr. Muhammad Ali Bogra was my paternal grandfather's cousin. So, he married a Bengali. And I'm sorry to say this, but when he brought his Bengali wife to Sialkot, his mother decided to kill her. How could this man bring a Bengali home? So my father decided to stay in the army. He did love his mother. He didn't want to get into a thing, and he did not even mention it. And so he stayed in the army, and that way he kept my mother away from Sialkot. Right. So that's how we came up, and so he brought us, my sister and myself, were brought up in a very liberal fashion. We were told to argue. If we did not agree with something, we were told to have a civil debate. Talk. Tell us your point of view. Right? He was not no, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. Right? The only time that my father, I loved the army, but I didn't want to go to the army. I said, what is this army where my father has to sell property just to keep us in boarding schools? At that time it was difficult. So I said, no, I'm not, I want to earn money and I want to stay I'm not going to the army. He was pressurized by everybody, Punjabi father, Bengali mother, right person for unity and all that. So my father said, go for 5 years. Do your current service, and if you don't like it at that time, you can always leave. And of course, once I joined the army, I never looked back. I loved the army, and I still love the army. And I will keep on loving the army till I die. The people who were unjust to me were not the army. They were people in the army, but it was not the army. The army, the Pakistan army, is the finest army in the world. You tell them anything, they will do anything. Today, by some chance, we are celebrating that. America has. But you really go down to the troops. Go down to the troops. Today, my unit, force is mechanized infantry battalion in Gujranwala. The CO was not born when I left the unit. On daily basis, he's sending me messages. Your company has come first. You've done this. You've done that. On a daily basis, the messages come to me. He was not born, at that time. So there is something in this army, which is absolutely beyond individuals. So let me tell you. So I would say the guy first, and then my own father. I love my mother, and in a way I suffered because of that love. But my mother never thought that people should be educated in that sense. She thought that she was the daughter of a zamindar, and she said that you should just learn mathematics just to count the amount of bags of rice and the bags of wheat. That's all. But it was my father who decided to send us to boarding schools. Both myself and my sister, I and my sister both went in boarding school in our time at the age of 7. We stayed in convent. I stayed in convent till the age of 11, then went to Lawrence College, and then of course waited for that couple of years till I could have come of age to the army, and then went to the army. So I would say my father was the one who inspired me the most, and I really honor his memory, because he was the one who suffered the most in 71. When people used to come and tell him that your son is a traitor. Can you imagine a Punjabi living in Lahore being told on a daily basis? Right? And therefore, my friends never left. People like Shabir Sharif, when he heard I was back, he left the field, and his mother used to come regularly to see my mother. One of the few people. He came and met me, and just 10 days before he died. And that is why Raheel is like a younger brother to me. He was 10, 11 years old at that time. But that is the type of people, Jan Ali Kuli or Shabir Sharif and Sabir Kamal Mayer and a lot of other people, Jafar Khan and from Lawrence College and Asmat Beg Humayun from Lawrence College and Zohar Khafidi who died in 65 actually and Inayatullah Khan Niazi and I can name so many people who inspired me at that time, but they were all from Lawrence College. We had the best of the lot. We were that thing. Today, I'm doing something for Lawrence as I may discuss for a second. These boys are here. We used to stand first every time. We went to the PMA. The 5 of us used to go. There's somebody from here, from Hassan Abdal, I will tell you. 50 used to come from Hassan Abdal, 100 used to come from Military College, but the 5 people from Lawrence College used to be the first 5. But in one thing, we used to always have a problem. We were not good swimmers because we didn't have a swimming pool. At 6,000 feet, there was no swimming pool. There was a swimming pool, it was hardly a frog pond. So, one of the things I've done is that I've donated a swimming pool during Brigadier Mujahid's time. And the swimming pool is about ready. In a month's time, it will come up. I want to go back to the person who inspired me. I've named it after my father. The Colonel Majid Saigal swimming pool, swimming complex. There you are.
Beautiful. I believe, you could agree or disagree, but, we would not agree to that because we would not find another person like Ikram Sehgal in this country. But having said that, who do you think currently is someone who we should look up to? India had Ratan Tata for a while. They've had other examples, and unfortunately, we have those examples. We're fortunate on that, but we're unfortunate on the fact that we don't get to read about them because there's no media presence of the sort that people don't want to give spotlight to people who actually do good things. It's just how things work. Who do you currently believe, along with Ikram Sehgal, who we should look up to, listen to, read about?
I will tell you something that I will not point to one single individual. I'll point to you and to the global shapers and to the young people sitting at the back. If you make 100 Ikram Sehgals, I will have succeeded. If you can emulate little bit what I am giving out to you, you'll have it. You'll make that. There are a lot of people. There's a lot of some of the people are sitting in this room, people like Mujahid Alam and Jan Shakil, and there are Asad Ikram, Vice Professor Ikram, and Farhan and Khalid Banori, and other people, and there are like Salman, who is heading this great venture. Ali Shah sitting in Atlanta at the moment. No, I will tell you something. All of you, please, and I jumped at this chance. Let me tell you, more than you, I look forward to this occasion where I could talk to a handful. You have so many global shapers in Pakistan. Today, 43 or 45 are here. But you have potential global shapers that you can spread the word. Make a society different. Make people if you can follow my example and say that, like our slogan, every challenge is an opportunity, right? There is nothing that you cannot do. Right? You have to have your faith in God. You have to believe in Him, and most of all, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that, okay, I can do it, and do not project self. Today I'm doing this because I think it's an opportunity to get to that thing. But I will never use the word I. I've used everything. If Citadel is coming about, it's coming about with 4 bright young people that are doing this. If Enhanced Harmony Division is coming out, it's because of Gidab Mujahid and his group. If SMS service is coming about, they're talking about things which Pakistan can't even think about, right? But it is Shakil and his group. Salman and all, they have created something which is beyond imagination. The other countries are looking to us, right? I'm at fault for not projecting them too much. I said, keep quiet until you become too big to fail. Because otherwise somebody will come to you, somebody will come knocking and said, one of you has stolen a buffalo in Thatta. So when FIR against you, right? And somebody will come back and said, you gave this statement against so and so, right? So I think, you have to have the group, you have to keep an open mind, and you have to believe in. I believe in the youth of Pakistan. I think there's nobody who can challenge them. You just have to give them the platform, you have to give them the direction, and let 100 flowers bloom, But that thing. And if you allow me, I'll take this opportunity. Again, I'm being selfish. I want to create, in Amani Bagh only, I want to create a separate lodge in which Global Shapers Pakistan can use as your headquarters. I will construct it for you. I will create 8-10 bedrooms for you there. I'll create that thing, etc. So your people can come, and I will create a secretariat for you. Full-time secretariat. That, so that when Sherbano requires something, she can turn on. Maruf requires something, you can require something. There's a secretariat that can handle in real time, right? A CRM straight away, right? So that other people that you ask to join have a reason to join, right? So I would request you that I'm making you this offer, that please, that thing, we will fund it. Our funded group will fund it. Shagil family fund it, but we want it. We want it so that we create that platform for the young people to generate excitement for this country, right?
I think that's incredibly, amazing news for us, and we would love to introduce you to our community champion Munib as well, right after the session ends, and we can take that discussion forward as well, inshallah. Coming to that, and now that you mentioned a bit about Global Shapers, we as Global Shapers are also very interested on your association with the World Economic Forum. How did that come about? Why are you doing Pakistan at Davos for the past 22 years? This was my first time at Davos, right? And anyone who spends that amount of effort and money, I would love to understand how big of a vision is that.
See, I joined by accident. I was sitting having coffee. I accompanied Mr. Nawaz Sharif, myself, and Arif Nizami. We were in Global Investment Conference in Zurich, and Sartaji Saab said, let's go to Davos. I said, where's Davos? He says, it's only about 100 kilometers from here, but this is an investment thing and you should see it. So we went along. And I was sitting there in that hall. And at that time, Klaus Schwab, his office was on one of the corners, very small office. And his secretary was named Anne Mary Miser. And she saw me sitting there. She said, you're one of the first people I'm having, not having coffee, having tea. So I said, can I join you? Yes, please. She said, he says, I had that media badge with me because myself and Arif Nizami both had media badge. He said, you write and this thing is okay. I said, yes, I do. So they talked for some time and then left. The next day, I was just going past the thing she told me. She told me, I'm not happy with you. I said, what? He said, you told me that you are a media person. Yes, you write in media, but you're actually a businessman. And you are using this as a camouflage to get into the World Economic Forum. I said, look, this is what happened. I'm a media person, but I do write regularly. He said, I explained to him my business and all that. Another day passed. I'm going past that place again. This time I stopped and I said, let me have a cup of tea. She came out, she said, look, Mr. Klaus Schwab wants to see you. He said, you are the only businessman in the world of this stature that I've studied you, that you are writing a weekly column and you got very strong views. So would you like to join the World Economic Forum? I said, sir, your requirements are turnover of $100 million. I don't even make $3 million turnover. He said, no, the combination is right. We've not have something, so I want to, can you afford 20,000 Swiss francs? I said, I think I can. So he said, all right, 20,000 people are joining. And so that's how it became. That was 1994. And I won't go into the other people who came, this, that, and the other. But I saw Indians were overshadowing this thing. And there were 170, 180 Indian businesses there. And we were only 5 Pakistanis. So I went to, and I'm not going to name them. They were very big businessmen. They are still businessmen. And I said, why don't we do something? India has got this Karnataka pavilion and this Maharashtra pavilion, and this new thing has started at that time. These tech companies have started. Assam now, right? So, and they were all over the place. I said, why don't we do something for Pakistan? They said, no. I said, okay. So I decided, I said, no, I'm going to have a Pakistan breakfast. It's going to cost me this much money and all. The first thing I did was I didn't tell my wife about it. So she would have stopped me right there. So I then had the Pakistan breakfast. And I went to Jang Musharraf. And said, come to the Pakistan breakfast. I'm having this at Davos. He said, where's Davos? I said, sir, this is like this. I explained to him. He said, yaar, wo samajh nahi aati, ye jagah nahi chahti. I said, so it did happen that once by accident, I left him on a mountain top. And I had to turn the helicopter around and he was standing there and said, what the hell? You left me on the Pathfinder team. He said, यार मुझे कोई उधर छोड़ मत आना मुझे please पहाड़ों में जिस तरह तुमने पहले किया. So anyway, I went. I took him. Then Musharraf was a sellout. 2003, he sent Shaukat Aziz. 2004, the Pakistan breakfast became the traditional breakfast. No money from the government, all money. 2005 he came. $100 million Bill Gates gave, $100 million Jeff Bezos gave, right? That thing, of course, that is beside the point that the bureaucracy managed not to take it. You know, if there's a catch to it, how are you giving the money? Grant. This is a pure grant. But then it became that thing, etc. Every prime minister, that thing. So, in between 2013 and 2020, Javed Akhai of Martin Dow and came to me and said, I want to share the cost with you. Because by this time, the costs had grown quite, almost $500,000. We never used to do any advertising anywhere, we just used to concentrate on Davos. So it was a welcome thing. And, you know, he was insistent, and for 5 years, he shared the cost. Then he unfortunately died. His children carried on for a couple of years, Martin Dow, and they decided no. So from then on, I'm doing it simply. From time to time, we have people like last time, InDrive joined us for something, and you know, the thing, etc. But I will again not name people. There are many people who say, "Na, hum karenge, ye karenge, wo karenge, bade paise." A month before that, हम बोले कि अब काम टाइम आ गया, यार वो ऐसा नहीं है, नहीं हो सकता, ठीक है ना? These people spend that much money in 1 hour on entertainment, but they could not spend that money in Davos. So whatever you see in Davos today is, of course, people like InDrive joined us, and other people smaller have joined us. But we managed to keep it afloat. And inshallah, last time you were there at a good time, the startups were there, and the first time the startups have ever gone to Davos. Now it's becoming something, it's going to be a proper thing. The Pakistan Pavilion became something. Luckily, the hotel owner is a friend of mine. He gives me at almost 50% of the cost of it cost the others. Or even not even 50%, even 30% of the cost would cost the others. Mr. Morosani, he owns 2 hotels, Tony Morosani, next to each other. And he's a very nice person, but he managed that. So we managed to, at low cost, do a lot of things. Last time I took, for the first time, you know, Indians have Bollywood nights there. Shah Rukh is there, Deepika is there, you name her. And, all the actresses and actors are there. They all come free of cost to project the country. We asked a couple of our people, Kawals and all that. They gave an astronomical figure. And then they said, हमारे 16 आदमी जाएंगे, सब business class जाएंगे. Because can't afford it. So I took a kawal. And today I've taken the liberty of asking that kawal, he's driven in the morning from Lahore to perform before you for 1 hour. Here. His name is Noman, and he's an educated boy. He used to teach. He used to teach at a school. And then he decided he was not making enough money, so he went into music. And I want to tell the global shippers something. Whatever you do not forget the entertainment side of it. Do not forget music side of it. So, you know, maybe you can harness in people newer bands, newer things that can go out in the world, like that Korean group has taken over the world. K-pop, right? And because of them, Korea has become, that Korean food has become food, and this has become. So let's think about it.
And guys, I kid you not, Pakistan Pavilion is a very patriotic representation of the country within Davos. And when you look around that entire promenade, you look at amazing countries out there who are doing amazing things, having really big presentations of who they are, and they're all government backed. This is practically the only representation in the entire promenade that is backed by a private entity in itself, representing a country backed through a private entity. That is not a small feat. And Ikram Sahab will also take the leverage on that. thank you for the privilege of doing Pakistan breakfast at Davos and the entire representation of the country, because you spent your 25th birthday at the American Embassy. I spent my 25th this year at Davos with you guys. So that's an interesting privilege that I'm very proud and honored about. And I hope to use that forward in many good things. Ikram Sahab, just a very quick little question. Just a couple of little questions before I maybe open the room for the audience for 5-10 minutes, because we may be running out of time. How important has the concept of divinity been in this journey? The concept of, I guess the right word for it would be tawakkul.
Total. Because everything is because of God. I would not sitting here. Let me tell you, when I made my escape plan, it was a beautiful plan. Everything was nailed down absolutely correctly. My first, even before I got to the wall, things started going wrong. Nothing worked. The whole plan went for a 6. Nothing worked. I'm sitting before you. If you do not consider there's some divine intervention, how can it be? How can it be that you everything is based that faith that you have, infinite faith that you have. And again, I must say that I say your prayers maybe 5 times a day. I don't. I say my Fajr prayers and say my Friday prayers, and I'm intermittent in my thing. I should be more. You see, my wife says 5 times regularly. But my point is that, and a lot of my people, they say the prayers, but the belief, the absolute belief that you have of divine intervention, that must be absolute. And that is the one which is going to take you absolute to places, right? And you take it. That, when we were having these, we were going, I started my IT journey in 1983. Pathfinder Computers was sitting. In 3 years, we were at the top, Computrain was top, then faded out because I had to choose between security services and IT. I chose security services. We started the journey again. And we are, so much thing is happening together. So how can it be without divine intervention? You cannot say, you are nobody. You're just a human being that is being ordained by God as a Zariya. I consider myself a Zariya, nothing else, right? And believe me, that is what, but and the ideas that come through, some work, some don't, right? And I will give you the thing. There's Kamar Bhatti, stand up. This place is a jungle. And we started from the road down there. It took us about 30-40 minutes. 30-40, he and I went up there where the mosque is. And believe me, for 15 minutes, we just lay down there because we were pushed. वो जंगल के थ्रू आके इधर उधर मैंने बोला कमर हम यहाँ मस्जिद बनाएंगे. He thought I was mad. When I told him that we're going to make an auditorium here in this ravine, he said, यहाँ कौन आएगा? तो बात ये है कि डिवाइन इंटरवेंशन तो है ना. तो कमर कितने साल हो गए मेरे साथ तुम्हें? 41 years. Divine intervention to है, ठीक है, and always believe in it, and always believe in it, and believe in what Mujahid is doing, interfaith harmony. That I studied in a convent for 4 years, 5 years. And Sister Leo, who taught me at that time, and she didn't try to make me a Christian or Catholic or whatever. She taught me a lot of good things. And when the first attack on this in church took place in Murray, at that point of time, I said, we will guard churches. So Wackenhut, in SMS, at one time, they were guarding 125 churches free of cost on Sundays. Free of cost. Even today, they guard about 35 churches free of cost because they've got their own security. But the red armored vehicles used to go, these people used to go. I told my guards, I said, take overtime for these 4 hours. They refused. They said कि हम मुसलमान हैं, हमारा काम है हमारी माइनॉरिटीज को ख्याल रखना. नहीं लेते पैसे, ओवर टाइम नहीं लेते. जो चर्च गोअर्स हैं उनके लिए पिकनिक बास्केट लाते हैं. ठीक है. तो इंटरफेथ हार्मनी इज वन ऑफ आवर प्रोजेक्ट्स. वी एज मुस्लिम्स we believe to protect the thing. It is as God, they are God's creatures, we have to protect them. That answers your question of divinity.
It does. It definitely does. I think it goes beyond a single religion on how you take things and how you take care of people. I think last question, and maybe this is just a quick yes or no. If you were sitting, right there, Munib bhai ki jagah pe, abhi, and you were listening to someone named Ikram Sehgal, talking about, what he's done and, everything that he's learned along the way and all of the suggestions that he has for a younger individual, would you be proud of him?
As a human being, one will not be amiss to say that I would like people to be proud of me for a reason. That if they can follow my example, if they can do what I set out to do, maybe they can do it better. I would love for them to do it better. Because that is what is required. You must do something better. Everything that we do, we must think. We have a partnership. The partner. What is a partnership? A partnership is not what to do. Of course, you want to make money. I want to make money for my partner. I want my partner to make money for me. That is a true partnership. Similarly, I was sitting in his place, I would say, okay, fine. There are things, give him food for thought, that we can do things. And before I finish, I want to go back to Sherbano. At the moment, the troubled people in this country are the Baloch. They're the most deprived people. All the money goes out, siphoned away. The money never reaches the So, one of my outlandish projects, which, by the way, has got acclaim from a very, very important educationist called Dr. Frederick Starr, who is the head of the Caucasian thing in the American Foreign Policy. He was the dean of Central Asian Studies in Johns Hopkins for 40 years. He made the division. And he sent out, and he said, this is the most important development that I think of. And I said, because of the Strait of Hormuz, because of the nature of the Strait of Hormuz, let us make a greenfield port at Pasni. A greenfield port at Pasni. The greenfield port, because deep sea access, mainland Asia, no Strait of Hormuz, no Bab el-Mandeb. Iranians will feel good about it because they put their pipelines here. The Americans must feel bad about it. The Chinese have got CPEC. They will have more trade coming in, right? In a greenfield port, etc. But the most important thing about that greenfield port, it must be Baloch owned. The Baloch must be the kafils for that. Not one single building will go in that port without Baloch ownership. Every Baloch will have ownership of every building, every property in that place. If you have that, can you imagine what message will go out to the Baloch? If you have means, if a person has some means, he will have the reason to protect it, right? So, I tell you, in that, if the Defense Journal this time, I think there are some copies of it. My lead article is Pasni, Destiny Changer, right? I'm just giving you one example of an idea, right? I'm sure down the line there will be 20 people who say it was our idea. Good enough. Let it be their idea. But let Pasni come up, for God's sake. Right?
Beautiful. That brings us to the end of the more intimate side of discussion. I'm going to open up the floor for questions, and I will take maybe three questions in light of time. Let's see how that goes. But let's begin with, okay, Mariam.
Can we have a mic, please? Mic then, please.
Assalamu alaikum. I was saying my name is Mariam and I'm one of the global shapers. I wanted to sort of double click on the thing you said about how you call yourself a Zaria for other people, because I really agree with the terminology you used. I think that is exactly how I see it. That if you, because I believe that people genuinely want to help, they just need to find a way to do it. So how would you encourage people, like for someone like me, for example, if I want to either find those Zaria or if I want to become that Zaria for other people, like on the receiving end and on the giving end? How would you encourage people and specifically the youth to do that?
I will start by saying that, very famous saying that say, do not expect to receive, but to give. But because it is in giving that you receive. Right. It is in giving that you receive. Right. You've got an opportunity as a global shaper. You have to see how you can leverage your own potential. And you can do it in many ways. You already, by becoming a global shaper, obviously you have the necessary qualification already existing there. You could not have just come out of the street and become a global shaper. So you have to see around you and say, what best can I do? What is good for the community? What is good for the individual? And do that. Right? And it is, you have to adjust your priorities according to that. And remember one thing, which I keep on telling people. The first principle of people say war, and I say peace, is selection and maintenance of aim. Once you've got the aim right, that this is what I'm going to do, stick to the aim. Yes, you may have to adjust from time to time, but don't go away from that. Because don't jump on your horse and gallop off in all directions. Some of people do that. Just be focused on what you do and leverage leverage not only your thinking, but your own potential into a genuine asset which can be utilized by other people, right? I think my own reading is, and I know about global shapers for some time, even though I didn't go because we only do with World Economic Forum what World Economic Forum asks us to engage with. But I think that the very fact that you have come up into this thing, you form the nucleus of something very big. Now, if you reach out and get the Gen Zs with you, the best and the brightest, then you can carry the people with you. Just to give an example, what does Pasni do? Pasni, you have all these Middle Eastern states, threatening you that we'll send the Pakistanis back. Send them back. We will have trained manpower in Pasni. Right? We will not be hanging out waiting for a handout from somebody else. We have trained the best workers in the Middle East are the Pakistanis, right? And they're the first pay, right? But my point is that you have to think in those terms. You think out of the box. You think, okay, fine. Let me think something different. So, I hope I've answered you.
You have. Thank you.
Guys, I know there's going to be a lot of questions and we will try to accommodate as many as we can.
Hello everyone, I'm Hurubdeen and I am the curator of Global Shapers Rawalpindi Hub. And I had this question. I'm very much inspired by your life you have lived. You're living a life, to be honest. It's like the Global Shapers Rawalpindi Hub work closely with the vulnerable communities from basically people from religious minority. Like upon conversations with them and engagement, we've realized there's much of a cognitive taxation. There is so much of a fear. So like, I'm very much inspired, like how you are doing work with zeal and like, despite of all the things. So I want to know what is your recipe of this bravery and being upfront so that when we talk with people, we can bring them out of that fear and like, give them that recipe. These are the ways you can come out and like get out of this mindset and like, live a life confidently and be in the race.
First of all, I go back to what you said about divinity. You have to believe that whatever happens to you will be done by God, nobody else. Man proposes, God disposes. Right? So, if you have infinite belief, right, and you say, okay, fine, I have. Some of my best friends have died for this country. Right? Other than Shabir Sharif, Sabir Kamal Mir, my cousin also from Sialkot actually. Different cousin, not close, but cousin. He got 2 Sitara jurats in April 71 and then December 71. He got married to his, to what he wanted to get married to a girl, he was a general's daughter, the ambassador's daughter. In between, he went, got married. He had 2 weeks of honeymoon. And he came and died. Right? But why did God keep me alive? I've been through much. I've been through a lot of battles. Right? Why did God keep me alive? When you believe that, and you say, okay, fine. God kept me alive for a reason. And one of the biggest reasons is that when I was escaping, people did not know who I was. They just thought I was destitute. It was Hindus, Sikhs, Muslims, Christians. Along the way, I met a lot of people. They never looked at me as a Muslim. They just looked at me as a destitute. I wrote something in my book, which I wrote it and I feel sorry for it. As a Pakistan Army soldier, I grew up believing that the only good Indian is a dead Indian. The only good Indian is a dead Indian. I came back and wrote, I said, I apologize for this. There are many good Indians out there, right? And I should not have said that. So, you believe that God has ordained these human beings for a reason. Their belief is their belief. As long as their belief does not interfere with your belief. That I do not love. That if somebody as a Muslim comes and explains to me that this is what is to be done, or and even the sects, I think is wrong. I think our religion was a very simple religion. It said there is no interview between you and God. Simple. No priest, no nothing. Right? So my point is that you have to believe. And because of the belief, that time you have to look after your fellow human beings. And I must tell you, I consider very small because the colleagues that I have got, the amount of belief they have is nobody's business. In fact, some of them sometimes I'm brusque with them, short with them, and then I apologize. Look, I did mean that in that way. But, I see them, they're not offended. They're not offended because they didn't mean it in a malified manner. I thought that was doing my best and this thing. So, belief, you must accommodate your fellow human being. You must give that fellow human being space. If you give that fellow human being space, you will get space yourself.
There's a young gentleman right there in the blue shirt. Okay, we'll take another question first and then we'll come back to the gentleman.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shakir.
Sound is not.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shakir. My voice is not clear.
All right.
I am from Center for Young Researchers, and my question to Ikram Sir is that since many of us are students here, I am 21 years old, and you talk about world economic forum, American embassy, and everything like that. But for us, that is a delusion. So I want to ask about if you are 21-year-old at that moment, 2026, AI, everything. What's the one advice you will give to yourself that you should follow a path toward future that Ikram Sehgal would be when he's 80-year-old? So what's the one advice you will give to yourself and ourselves?
The one advice I'll give you is don't stop learning. Keep educating. The best education, the education does not come in books alone, right? Are you a graduate?
I'm studying 5th semester of BS.
All right. I'm a graduate of the Pakistan Military Academy. I didn't get my degree because we were in 1965 not given the degrees we were sent out to war. I got my degree when my course mate became a general and became commandant. He got our degree out and gave it to us. So I'm technically not even a graduate.
But you are teaching in NDU, right?
But the point is, I kept educating myself. I kept learning. I kept reading books. I followed history and I followed experience, and I learned a lot. You know, I ask people, you know, and I get very surprised when I find that, you know, some of them have not read the books. For example, T. Lawrence's 7 Pillars of Wisdom, right? I was asking some people, they have not read it. No, I said, this person is in learning history and geography and the thing is 7 Pillars of Wisdom. Not that you should follow the 7 Pillars of Wisdom, but the thought process teaches you. So please keep educating yourself. And do not think of any, if you want to venture into anything, think out the process first. Don't put away your resources into anything that you cannot do, right? Which you may not be totally in picture about. I failed in many things. It's not that I've been successful and, you know, like you said, the American embassy or this embassy or that embassy. But believe me, this was not given to me because I had blue eyes. It was given me, my guards were the best in the world, right? And they were ready to die for what I believe in, right? And the thing is that you have to keep educating yourself. And educating yourself not only through books, but through experience and through your fellow people. You know, listen to what they have said and sift out what is right and what is wrong. That is your choice.
In addition to my question, we talk about passion and, you know, following the society. Why do you say students should follow their passion and follow what the society leads to them?
No. You're talking about two different things. Because your passion, you've got to follow your passion. You take your passion, make it happen. You take this word, take your passion, make it happen. You do not have to follow society. If you go and follow society, you will probably become a terrific bureaucrat, right? Right? And you will be all right, this thing, etc. But if you follow your passion, then you have to make sure that you make the wherewithal for that passion happen. You have to make sure that you get, you know, I'm not going to go and make, you know, we've gone into Citadel, right? We've got artificial intelligence and cybersecurity and incubation and this and that, right? I don't know much about it, but I know enough about it to select the right people to do the right job. You get the idea. You don't have to be a jack of all trades. You have to excel in your own issue and make sure that you select the right choices and the right people.
Thank you so much, sir.
I'd like to take the question from that gentleman right there. And of course, from Hassan, you had a question, right? And we'll go there then as well. The gentleman right here, can you raise your hand again? The blue one. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. My name is Adin Nadeem and I'm one of the Galleons from Lawrence College. Sir, as all of us know, you're also an old Galleon. You know how boarding school is. You know that we face challenges.
Your voice is cutting off.
You know that we face challenges and we have to find those solutions ourselves. So there might be one challenge you faced in your life which helped you stay true to yourself and guided you for the rest of your life. What was that challenge and what was its lesson? And I might not have another chance, so I also want to ask was that in our country, when people get money, when people get rich, then they tend to go to foreign countries and live their life and enjoy and stay lavish. What made you stay true to yourself and promise to yourself that you will stay in your own motherland, Pakistan, and help it be successful?
I think I answered this question in a way in the beginning. The first thing was, and please believe me, that as a helicopter pilot, I was an infantry officer, but I was flying helicopters. And I was flying the brand new Elevate 3s. And when Sheikh Zayed used to come to Raimiyar Khan, I used to be detailed with Sheikh Zayed. So one of the first things which happened to me was that I was immediately offered to be his pilot in Abu Dhabi. Right? And this job was offered me, fabulous salary. Right? But I decided no. I said, this is my country. This is my father's country. Right? And this country has tarred and feathered me and called me a traitor. To say I'm sitting in front of you as an example that determination of being a Pakistani, I will never leave this country. I will die here. Right? That helps you. That if you're determined, yes, you're right. I love to travel. I love to travel with my family. I love to go outside places, right? Right? But I don't have a single property abroad. All my property, most of it is in the mountains here, where I want to be. Like, because of Lawrence College, I love the mountains. But to answer your question, your home ground is the best. Do not forget your roots. That is where you come from, and there is where you will get. What have we done in Pathfinder Group? We've taken the Western corporate culture and mixed it with the Oriental culture. And we've come to our own culture. This is all Pakistan. Let me tell you, we are and people don't know it. Now, big universities are doing case studies on us as a group, right? But it's not that. It started, which house are you from? Wrong house. I'm from Peak House. I was from Peak House. Sorry, it's a great house. No, sorry. But the point is that you have to believe that this country is your foundation and there are where your roots are. Right? And you cannot forget the roots. Okay?
थैंक यू सो मच सैगल साहब. मेरा नाम मोहम्मद हसान दजाना है. खूबसूरत शहर रावलपिंडी मेरा घर है. मैं थोड़ा सा I'm going to ask a tough questions because आपने you refer to a lot of army folks that are your colleagues. पिछले 35 मिनट से ना मेरे जहन में एक चीज़ चल रही है जो आपने बोली है कि merit is a disqualifier in this country. When we started and Sharbano did that presentation, I think a lot of our identity and the colleague that asked the question, हम बाहर से होकर आए हैं, वह हमें बाहर लेके जाता है. That is our identity. I'm a very patriotic person. मैं भी कैडेट कॉलेज से पढ़ा हुआ हूँ और मेरा भी दिल व खून पिंडी में रहती है ना. 9-10 मई को हम जानते हैं एज मार्का हक. वी नो इट फॉर सम अदर वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग रीजन एज वेल फॉर द पास्ट 3 years. You refer to this country कि जो हमारा सारा situation हुआ है. At the end of it, I refer to सिर्फ 3 चीजें हैं जो कि हमें लेके चल रही हैं where we are at. क्या young person आपने जिक्र की for the script. Sorry, it's going to take a little time to build that context. You talked about script, the script that you had to follow post 1971. We young people are told to follow a separate script. I've been a very vocal person in my life as a young person, और मुझे कहा गया है कि either shut up or you will be made to shut up, right? What do you should young people be very honestly, should we just focus on these 3 things कि हम या पैसा बनाएं, हम connection बनाएं, या हम बाहर जाएं so that we can make this country, या हम अपने patriotism को मद्देनजर रखते हुए how could we work alongside our security apparatus, young people to make a difference? मैं आपको बताता हूँ मेरी जितनी भी इज्जत है, मुझे जेनीवा में वेफ बुलाए, मुझे जेनीवा न्यूयॉर्क बुलाए, मुझे सोल बुलाए, मुझे इसलिए बुलाया जा रहा है कि मेरी काबिलियत है और मैं आई कैन ओनली गिव माई काबिलियत. ना मेरे पास पैसा है, ना मेरे पास बड़ा नाम है, ना ब्यूरोक्रेसी है. मैं पाकिस्तान वापस आया हूँ अपना मास्टर्स करके फुल ब्राइट से. मुझे पाकिस्तान में उस वक्त घास डाली जाती है कि इफ आई ब्रिंग समथिंग वेदर इट्स मनी और कनेक्शन, आई डोंट हैव इट, सो आई एम नॉट वेलकम्ड इन दिस कंट्री. आई एम वेलकम्ड अब्रॉड, आई एम नॉट वेलकम्ड हियर. I rather live and die here and build a country here, but I'm not made to. I'm not welcomed in these spaces. As a person who's been in these spaces, as people in the armed forces who are in these spaces, are we even allowed to be here? Do we matter? Yeah, is it the only matter that has those decisions? I ask you very honestly because I've been thinking for the past 10 years, 20,000 ज़्यादा लोगों को मैंने जिंदगी one way or the other benefit कर दिए, but I don't feel like I'll survive. I will never have a house if I stay in Pakistan. I'll never have a future. The future is preordained. I'm very disappointed. I'd have that patriotism, but I don't have that optimism. I'll ask for your guidance. Thank you.
A lot of people do not know that about few years ago, one of my best friends is Imran Khan. One of my best friends. I may know this thing. People do not know that when he started his political party, he's going to start his political party, and he said, "What is the future?" I said, "You will die once you become a threat to them." He said, "In the meantime," he said, "I'm going to give you bodyguards." So from the first day that he started politics, my bodyguards are with Imran Khan. And ultimately, I'm not going to go through all that, but there were, at one time, there were 36 of my guards at Banigala. And because of, I will not go into the incident what happened, but ultimately, we were banned as a security company. And actually, we were banned, and not only banned, but SCCP sent out a circular to all people that any company that has got shares with Sehgals in it, Ikram Sehgal or his family, are to be closed down forthwith. All their bank accounts have to be seized, all their offices have to be sealed. That was because of 36 people that were done. For some reason, we knew General Bajwa. General Shakil and General Bajwa were kids together in 16 Baloch. I know General Bajwa also. So we went to see General Bajwa. He said, "Sir, I'm traveling. I was in Karachi. Come to that thing, and I'll see you at 11 o'clock at night." 11 o'clock at night, when General Shakil and myself, we were there, we saw DGISI's vehicles, 6 vehicles going to the. So I said, "Chalo." So, and there, beside there, I did not shake hands with DGISI. So General Bajwa came, we did a small talk. General Shakil also was there. He said, "Sir, let's get to the point. Where is this thing?" So he said, "Kya you say?" He told DGISI. He said, "Sir, there are a lot of complaints against Ikram Sehgal this, that, etc. I said, have you told me those complaints? He said, no, but these are there. Your competitors have said so. So I said, so let me get it. Your NCOs and the competitors have come and given you these complaints, right? And then Shakil is sitting here. He can tell you that he could not look me in the eye. Anyway, General Bajwa turned around and told him, fix this. Fix this. But he said, sir, please, also, at the moment it's not fashionable to put 6 people with Imran Khan. Right? So, well, we worked out till Imran Khan himself asked that when he was in jail, that remove the guards. Himself he has said, remove the guards. So now, you can tell me, okay, he was being pragmatic. No, he was being brave. Yes, I could stand up, but I was pragmatic also. I took into account the fact that 12,000 of my people and their 53,000, 55,000 dependents would be out of a job. So I compromised. Right? It's not that I was like standing up and, being a superhero or something like that. I compromised. And I will ask you also that when it comes to some people, be pragmatic. Don't think that everything you do is based on just, you have to be, in your life, you have to be pragmatic. I don't say, do not compromise your principles, do not compromise your integrity, but you have to be pragmatic. Right? And I have been pragmatic. And today, part of my pragmatism is, you know what? I used to write a regular column in the newspaper. For the last 3 years, I have not written a single column. Right? Because I cannot say what I want to. So, I've taken the easy way out now. PTV or somebody rings me up, Geo rings me up, come on television, this, that, and I said, yeah, let it be. So, please understand what I'm saying. Be pragmatic. That is all. But in life, you have to be pragmatic, right? And you have to in that formula, you have to keep KISS formula uppermost. What is the KISS formula? Keep it simple, stupid. That's the KISS formula. Be pragmatic. On points which is absolute life and death, yes, take a stand, right? You do not know what I went through, right? You sent out this meet the leaders. How much hate have you got on the LinkedIn already? That Ikram Sehgal is a traitor. Ikram Sehgal is this. He's done that. Am I right or wrong?
So not the way that we would expected, but there would definitely be some questions that there were. So it's natural.
But it's natural.
It's natural.
It's natural. You have to take it in the stride, but you have to stay firm in what you want to do. Within what this by the way, one of the things I do, I don't do anything with government. I have no single contract with government in anything. No single contract with government. The first thing, the new political government where it comes in is first check out Ikram Sehgal, इसको कितने plots मिले, इसने कितने contracts cancel कर दो, ठीक है? And then they find there's nothing, right? So the point is, don't work with government ever.
There's just one last question that I can't ignore from Zahid, who's one of our youngest in seniority shapers, because he's just come in. Zahid, please. This is the last question, by the way.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zahid Ali. I come from Chitral. First of all, I would like to say that I'm a proud son of, a proud army personnel. My father is also in army. So I'm saying that because my question is going to be a little bit controversial. So जिस तरह आपने स्टार्टिंग में बताया, आपने ये बिजनेस ये सारा कुछ खड़ा किया, सो आई जस्ट वांट टू से कि हम पाकिस्तान में देखते हैं ना, तो देयर इज DHA, देयर इज अस्करी, देयर इज फौजी फाउंडेशन, देयर इज फौजी फर्टिलाइजर एंड ऑल दोज सॉर्ट्स ऑफ बिजनेसेस. सो आई बिलीव 50 to 60% जो बिजनेसेस है पाकिस्तान में, प्राइवेट बिजनेसेस, they are owned by army, right? So how much role that thing has played, with your ventures? क्या आपको लगता है कि जो आर्मी की बेकिंग जिनको होती है वो ज़्यादा आसानी से पाकिस्तान के जो बिजनेस सर्कल है उसमें तरक्की कर लेते हैं, और जिनको नहीं होती वो स्ट्रगल कर लेते हैं? अभी मैं आपके ही फ्रंट रो को देख रहा हूँ, so majority of people are, they are from army, right? So
or Air Force.
yeah. So that's my question. आपको लगता है एक unfair advantage है, या it's just my perception?
One thing is that 100% is unfair advantage, right? But the unfair advantage is because we do not. Why did we stop? When I started my business, and I tell you, I started thinking what I could do with the army, right? And I'm going to answer you, and this controversy will be repeated, but I've written it, so I'm not bothered about it. So I thought of things 15 years ahead, and I went and got the Steyr Mannlicher rifle, sniper rifle. I got the agency for that. I went and got the agency for Army Universal Gun Steyr. I got the agency for the Pilzgauer, which is used all-terrain vehicle. I got the thing for the 5-ton tactical truck. I got the thing for the APDS FST ammunition, armor piercing, discarding sabot ammunition, right? And a lot of other things. Then the person, my father died in 1983. My platoon commander in PMA was, one of my platoon commanders, Colonel Nusratullah. He was from SSG, and I went to him and said, come as the chairman of the company. He said, why? I said, my father used to tell me this is right, this is wrong. I'm not going to listen to anybody, but I listen to you. So he came and told me, by the way, all of these things are required for the army. He told me, he said, why do you hate the Pakistan Army? I said, I love the Pakistan. He said, no. Every one of these things are required by the Pakistan Army. You are not going to give bribes because you are an idealist, and none of the Pakistan Army will not get these weapons and equipment. That day I gave away all the weapons equipment. I stopped getting into the procurement business. And the other day, one of my Air Force colleagues came and said, want to do this thing. I said, we'll do something non-lethal, but not with this thing, right? So, yes, I agree with you. The one is that corruption was taking place, and was taking place long time back. I'm talking about 1990, 1991, when I got out of the complete business of procurement. Okay? And I've never gone back to it, ever again. Okay? But, yes, you're right. People do get unfair advantage. People misuse their office. People got into real estate. People got into things that they should not have got into, right? And this is not something which is unknown. So, I'm not, I can say it very nicely because it's in my books. I've written it in my books that this is why I got out of the procurement business. This is why I don't want to do business with government. I sold 2 sugar mills from heavy mechanical complex to Bangladesh. I never got paid for it. I did the license fee calculation, the first one, when for PTV used to get only 16 crores, I took it to 40 crores, I didn't get paid, right? So, working with government, whether it's civilian or army doesn't matter. Civilians also have done a lot. The bureaucrats also have been sent. So don't blame the army alone. See, it's everybody who was in a position of power. And excuse me, what about the political parties? What about the political parties? Which political party today, except for the Jamaat Islami, is an honest political party, does not get into bribe. Right? So don't blame the army alone. Right? It is our society that has degenerated into that. The army had an advantage. The defense service had an advantage. They took advantage of it. It's not correct. Right? I think what is responsible is that we did not follow accountability the way we should have followed accountability. If we had held people accountable right from the very beginning, we would have been all right. But whenever we came to an accountability, whenever we faced by this man should be taken to task, right? That is. So people become prime ministers, presidents of the country, right? They're known the world over. What can we do about it? What can we do about it? My thought to you and my advice to you, this is what is the society today. You think about what you can do for this country. Thank you.
I do not want to say this, but this comes to the conclusion of this end now, of the session. Not that we wanted to end, but we do need to respect the agenda and the time around, because I believe there's a lot more to learn that we cannot accommodate in maybe 2 months, let alone 2 hours. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening in, and a very, very, very special thank you for Mr. Ikram Sehgal Sahab, who you can clap now, by the way.